Seaplane company up in Vancouver, Harbour Air, did their first legitimate test flight this week. Actually, I think it was yesterday, maybe.
Yeah.
Pure electric seaplane, 750 horsepower motor. And a couple things I thought were significant, and we can put a link to the article. But the CEO of the company actually did the test run on the plane, so they've got to have faith that it works, because you don't just stick the CEO in the pilot's chair. The other thing they mentioned, and we all know this is driving EVs, he said, for me, pardon the model of the plane, it's called a Beaver, but he says flying the Beaver was like flying a Beaver on electric steroids. I actually had to back off on the power, he said, because it had so much instant torque. And then the article does go on to talk about it's going to take another 2 years of testing before it gets authorized by the Canadian equivalent of the FAA, but things look good. And then the big kicker is they mentioned that they're going to save millions of dollars on maintenance, because a gasoline or jet fuel engine has a gazillion moving parts. They have to rebuild them every X number of hours, regardless if they're working or not, where an electric motor has, one moving part. And so they're looking at the big picture. It's going to be quieter, it's going to be smoother, it's going to be cheaper, better for the environment, and cheaper to maintain. So the CEO goes on to say it could set a trend for more environmentally friendly flying, which is great. The drawback is, of course, range anxiety. With current battery technology, they're limited to flights of about 160 kilometers, which is about 100 miles. But most of their routes are that type of distance where in the area of the country they fly. So pretty cool story. And it's kind of like a Wright Brothers event for electric planes. So.
And that range that they quote includes the safety margin too, right?
I'm sure they have a buffer in there. Yeah.
So what was the name of this company, Paul?
Harbour Air.
And no relationship to Harbor Freight.
I sure hope not.
Wow. Yeah. Ain't nobody flying on that. Okay.
Yeah, if there was a Harbor Freight airline, I don't think anybody would be flying. And Harbour Air, because it's in Canada, has a U in the word harbor.
Ooh.
And Paul, that of course is extreme range anxiety when you're in a plane.
Yeah, but hopefully they have decent batteries and a good BMS, and it's.
And the other thing is it's a smaller plane, and it can glide, and it's got pontoons on it, so all you need is a little water.
Yeah,
right.
And most of the area where they fly is over harbors, rivers, sea. So there's always somewhere they could set down as a glider. But like I said, most of their flights are pretty short hops, and very popular airline. I think they said they transport 500,000 people a year on these little planes. So, I mean, if I'm up in Vancouver and I need to cross over to Victoria, I'd probably fly one of these. I think it'd be fun to go in an electric plane.
Sure.
I imagine they'll be replacing the batteries and doing more maintenance for a while they get a feel for what it can handle. Yeah. I'm curious. But it's got to be quieter than a regular.
About it, how often do you see electric cars fail because of the batteries or the motors?
Oh, not that they would actually fail, just that until they get a feel for like the actual rate of degradation of the pack and the power output, etc. Right. Just
are you spreading electric vehicle FUD?
I am not.
Because if you were talking this way about Tesla, you would be out, buddy. Okay?
No, because SpaceX did the same thing when they did their stuff. They were tearing it apart all the time, and now they just refurbish it and put it back up like a month or two later.
Yeah. Well, chances are, like others said, 160 kilometers is the range, but it's probably got a headroom of 200 or 250 or something.
I was going for the headroom and everything. It seems like they're going about it the safe way, is all I'm saying. And my other question was, I imagine it's got to be a lot quieter than a regular prop plane.
Well, and that's a big complaint in downtown Vancouver. There's a lot of people live on the waterfront, and the existing seaplanes that are engine driven are really noisy when they come in and take off, and there's dozens of flights a day. So if you're walking on the seawall talking on your phone and a plane takes off, it sucks. But the electric planes will be significantly quieter.
Cool.
You have to take into consideration and be polite to those people who are talking on their phones in nature.
Exactly.
Or if you're just taking a nice nature walk around a lake and something loud just disrupts it.
Yeah.
That's no fun.
Yeah, I mean,
it seems very nichey, but you have to understand the enormous land area of Canada, Alaska, and how much transportation is done by small plane. Now, we may not necessarily going to be turning back climate change with this change, but it's a huge step in the right direction. As Paul said, range anxiety isn't that much of an issue. We're talking about people that are filing flight plans. They know exactly how far they're going. Yeah. They do the same thing when it's an ice plane. Yeah. They're carrying fuel for the amount plus a reserve and all of that. So this isn't like, oh, hey, we got to go over here all of a sudden. These are regularly scheduled runs. I mean, this is a really good use for this technology.
Yeah, I mean, like even if they're running emergency medicine somewhere, they file the flight plan. They know how far they're going. It's been ready.
And the airspace regulators and the air technology. I mean, it's so heavily regulated. I mean, every single bolt you use has to be, tracked and verified, and managers sign off on it. I mean, they don't want accidents to happen with aircraft, and it's still the safest way to travel ever. It's catastrophic when a plane crashes, but the number of miles people travel on planes versus the number of accidents is so minuscule. It's unbelievably safe.
It is.
I mean, more people get in car wrecks driving to airports than riding in airplanes.
Very true. Yeah, I did a story looking all the way out to 2070, making some assumptions about energy density in batteries and how it would progress. And I don't remember what year, but I mean, in there I charted when like 2025 short hop planes would be running on batteries, and then at one point, I don't remember what year now. It's been a while since I wrote this. That we would have in coast-to-coast flights and then intercontinental flights, all battery powered, and it was kind of cool to think about. Okay, what's life going to be like? It was 55 years from now when I wrote it. That was kind of interesting.
Too bad we'll all be dead, but.
Why? Do you plan on driving to an airport?
Unless we do.
No. Is it 2055? I'd like to be around for that.
2070.